You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for another amazing session of the Daily African Proverbs. We are live and direct on YouTube, and we are also live and direct on Clubhouse. And it's Wednesday, and as you all know, every Wednesday I am joined here by the incredible Chioma Sheri, who is an amazing writer, creator, and a poet. And Chioma is going to share with us where she's joining us from and just say hello to you in a moment. But this is the Daily African Proverbs, and we are here because we love African proverbs. We love African culture. And every Monday to Friday, we get together in order for us to dissect these proverbs and learn something new from them, with the hopes that at the end of our conversation, we gain African wisdom. And as we go into our day, no matter where we are grounded in African wisdom. So that's exactly why we are here. And if you're watching on YouTube, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Our goal is to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of this month, and hopefully surpass that goal. We are really close. So make sure you tap in. I will share the link at the top of the room in just a moment. But now I want to invite Chioma to just say hello and share with us where she is before we get into the session today. And welcome, Simply E.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chioma, and I am calling in from Philly. I also just want to give like a quick shout out to my friends Sherelle and Kelly, and hi, Simply E. Just thank you all for being here.
Peace and grand rising, Simon, Chioma, and everybody in the space.
Hey, Simply E, it's wonderful to see you. Thank you for all the support that you give me with the Daily African Proverbs. Why don't you take this moment to just share with us where you are joining us from, and also why these Wednesday sessions of the Daily African Proverbs are a must attend and a must watch for you.
You know what? I don't think I've ever shared in this space where I'm from. I have so I'm in the USA, and right now I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, which is where I was born and raised. And I also, um, you know, have dual residency in Atlanta, Georgia, in the USA as well. So yeah, I'm a Southern Belle, of course. And so things that have substance, and things that you can hold on to and take with you is something that I value. And so that's why this space is so beautiful to me. The Daily African Proverb is something that I feel like I can put it in my pocket and walk around with it, and then check back on it and look and see, plant it somewhere and see how it's growing, and checking in on it and water it and nature it, maybe take a petal off of it and hand it to someone. So it's just that's why I enjoy this space so much, because it's in alignment with my Southern values. Um, yeah, so I love the space. Um, Thank you, Simon, and thank you, Chioma. I can't wait to hear what's in store today.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you, Sophie. I just love the way you talked about the daily African proverb. It was just so beautiful, so poetic, and I also just feel the same way. So just thank you for sharing. And also, I had a sense you were from the South. I knew you were from the South. I didn't know where though.
Yeah, the funny thing is, when I pivoted, when I was in corporate America, um, of course, you know there's a thing that's called code switching. So I would find myself in situations where I would have to kind of wash out, to a certain degree. So I feel a lot more freedom now to just be, in purity, and whoever, however I am in that space, to allow my inner, Southern to come out. So yeah, so now I'm a lot more relaxed in letting that southern drawl kind of be heard.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I just want to appreciate you again, Simply E, for what you said about the Daily African Proverbs. One of the things I do is I run One Vibe Africa, which is a non-profit organization that I have been running since 2008. And it's an offshoot of an orphanage home that my mother started in 2007. So in 2008, there was an election in Kenya in 2007 that was bitterly contested. And in fact, in early 2008 and late 2007, there was ethnic violence, and over 1,500 people were murdered. And I produced an event that brought all these people that were literally murdering each other together, for a reggae show, And so this was the first time that people were seen without their machetes. And since then, I was really, really moved, and I've always produced events here now in Seattle, where I live. And also in Kenya, I still produce events, and I take the proceeds and continue building an education, music, and art program in Kenya. So one of the things I'm doing currently is I have been looking for board members, and I invited, an attendee of the Daily African Proverbs. Her name is Jay, and she's a poet too, by the way. And so, we were having a board meeting, but we invited potential board members last night. And she started talking about the Daily African Proverbs, and I've never told my board members about it. She just talked so highly about it, and I was so moved by it, And if somebody knows you very well, and she brings a story of how she knows you in a different way to people who also know you, it's just amazing. I kept my eyes, down, and I just focused on building this space, and I've never really paid enough attention to the impact it's having on people's lives. And so yesterday was an awakening for me. So thank you for what you just shared. And to everybody else who is in the room, welcome. This is my favorite segment or session of the Daily African Proverbs every week, especially because Chioma is so amazing, and she takes these proverbs and turns them into a poem. So today, first, Chioma, share with us what this proverb from Senegal means to you. The proverb says, "The jewel of the house is the child." But before you do that, in Africa, we have this thing called Africa Cup of Nations, and Africa Cup of Nations happens every 2 years. It happens every 2 years. And so the team that wins it, it's countries are playing against countries. And growing up, we used to stay 24 hours just watching these games. The tournament happens for 2 weeks, I believe. No, I think it's a month. So, the whole of, the part of January and February, there was just soccer games every other day. There are breaks in between. But then Senegal emerged as the winner. And I just wanted to play a short clip of the celebrations, because we are focusing on a proverb from Senegal. And I just wanted to give you guys a little context of how it felt like in Cameroon, where this tournament was taking place. And then Chioma is just going to take it from there. Anyway, Chioma, can you hear the audio?
I can't, no.
Okay, well, you missed it. Next time I'll be able to actually share the video and the audio to you, because if you can, then our audience members who are on YouTube can also enjoy it. But now we will just continue on to you, because I'm unable to do exactly what I wanted to do, but the people on Clubhouse definitely had a bit of the clip I wanted to share. So Chioma, when you look at this proverb, the jewel of the house is the child, what comes to your mind?
I don't know, like first, what comes to my mind is just like how truthful it is. When I look at it, like I think of it as like it sounds like a declaration, but also like a call for us to like recognize and treat children like they are indeed the jewel of the house, because they are. I think about my little cousins. I think about my nieces and my nephew, and I just think about just how children are just so pure, and how they do so much by just being, by just being. They change the space, they bring people together, um they change families, but also they're a jewel, so they really need to be protected, they need to be like cared for. So those are some of the things I think about, and I also think about a couple scriptures. So one of them says like, let the children come to me because they belong to the kingdom. And then there's another one that says, in order to come into the kingdom, you must be like children. So there's something really special, very like heavenly about children. So those are just some of the things that come to mind when I hear this proverb.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, especially because I'm a full time father as well. Besides all these things I do, I spend most of my time with my three daughters. And yesterday I had a Zoom call with Zoe Amira, who Zoe Amira is a really well known, African American beauty. And cosmetics influencer. She made a YouTube video during the period when George Floyd was murdered that had over 10 million views, and had different poets and different artists, expressing their disgust at what had happened, but in very creative ways. Anyhow, I was on a Zoom call with Zoe. I'm consulting for her. She's creating a nonprofit. She's from Chicago. But my youngest daughter, who is 2.5, did not want us to have this Zoom call. So she climbed the table and literally sat between me and the computer. And so I'm having this really, a great meeting with a client that is also like a celebrity. And then my daughter is like, that is nonsense. I am the boss. And so it was amazing that Zoe, was just like, okay, we will just meet the way things are. So we literally had the whole Zoom call with her sitting in between us. It was just amazing, and I completely agree with what you're saying.
I love that.
Anyway, so I want to welcome everyone who is just joining us. I see my brother Philip Ogola joining us from Nairobi, and I see Kaylee and Fred, Kelsey and Tracy. I want to encourage you all to, ping in 3 to 5 people to join us for today's amazing conversation. My special guest is Chioma Sheri, and Chioma is also my guest every Wednesday. Every Wednesday she's, making these daily African proverbs even much more special by making Wednesdays a poetry themed version of the daily African proverbs. So Chioma just shared with us her interpretation of this proverb, but now she wants to share it in a poetic manner. So Chioma, I want to pass you the microphone so that you share with us the piece that you have that aligns with this proverb, and then I want Simply E to just chime in afterwards.
Okay. All righty, Simon. All right. You precious stone, you skin and bone, thought I knew life until you came home. You paint these walls with laughter and grace. If ever I'm down, you brush a smile on my face. When the house begins to crumble and I've forgotten what I know, you are the bearing of my compass, directing me the way to go. You teach me love, you slow down time, your forgiveness, your joy, you child of mine, my precious stone, my flesh and bone. the pure, most valuable jewel of our home. There we go.
Chioma, how long did it take you to work on this piece? It's so
What's
good.
so funny? So I appreciate it. I really do. Cause I don't know, like it you precious stone, you skin and bone. Like it started with that. And probably I think I had like the first stanza sometime last night. And then the rest came really early this morning. I was just like, oh, thank God. So yeah.
Well, there's another African proverb that says good things take long, And so, simply, what do you say?
I just think, I mean, that this gives me an opportunity to see another layer of you, Chioma, because this one, your piece here is a lot more nurturing. Not saying that before you weren't, but this one is a lot more intense in that space. And so it feels so like it's very endearing and comforting. And
I'm
I
glad.
really enjoy it. Hmm.
Thank you, Simply. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Chioma. And I just want to welcome everyone else who is in the room with us on Clubhouse. Thank you again for your continued support. And if you're joining us on YouTube, thank you for being present here with us now. If you will watch this later, let us know in the comments what this proverb from Senegal means to you. The proverb says, "The jewel of the house is the child." And my special guest today is Chioma Sheri. She just, a moment ago shared with us her interpretation. And also, Chioma shared with us this proverb, but she created a poem out of it. And if you stay with us until the end, you'll be able to hear this poem one more time. But now, Chioma, I want you to think about this proverb and share with us, does it remind you of any story, in your childhood, or any story in your current life? Does this proverb bring something up for you?
I mean, to be very honest with you, it really brings up my little cousins. I will talk about my first cousin. And it's funny because I was technically a child still at that time, but he was like really like a baby. And my aunt and him, they live with us. And I just remembered like when he came home and just like as he started to like grow, 1, 2 years old, just like the impact that he had like on the house and just on me. And it's crazy because like I even think about it years later and I'm just like that little boy almost felt like mine, but like that little boy, he did so much for me. And just simply by being a kid. Like he taught me so much. He made me laugh. Like it was just, and I loved him. And I talked about him like literally all the time. I would go to school. I would talk about him with friends. Everybody be like, "How's True?" I'll post about him on Facebook. Like he felt like, he was just like really special. And I feel that way about like all my little cousins, my nieces and nephews. But yeah, I just think about the first time, like my first cousin, like my first direct cousin. That was just like such an exciting moment. Just for like me and just my family. Like he really like did a lot just by being himself. So that's like what I think of when I hear this proverb.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Children definitely, have a huge influence in our lives. And, I could tell so many stories. Children also let you, they bring the childish spirit in all of us. All of us have that spirit all the time, but we don't realize it until we see how free they are. Sometime in my household, things would be stressful. But on the other side of the room, you just see one of my kids just dancing alone. They have the music, on low volume, and they're just making moves. They're in their world, And if you're free, you'll join them. If you want to feel the same way. So sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be in this stressful moment. Let me go on that other side of the room and feel that good too, and feel a little free. And so I just love what you had to share there with us. But Chioma, I have a couple of other questions here for you. One of the things that I feel that in observing you and in interviewing you and in just being involved with you in community, I've always felt that you're a teacher or an educator of some sorts, So I've always been curious about whether you've taught, poetry and writing, and if you have not, why and when are you going to be doing it?
So it's so funny you ask. I would say I taught it like twice, but it was only like it. So the first time, it was probably for like a week. It was more like a creative workshop that I facilitated. It was at a senior center, and I wasn't so much like teaching writing per se, but just like giving the space for them to like experience it. So the first time we wrote, it started with a few prompts, and then they wrote from that. And then the next time we wrote to music, and they just wrote whatever came when they were like listening to the music. And that actually is kind of crazy because like the whole experience was tough. I was like, working with seniors sometimes is not the easiest, and they'll tell you how they feel, and like they don't they don't hold back. But like the culmination of it, which is really crazy, is that they like really wanted to like put on this show, like share the pieces, and they ended up sharing two ladies specifically. Like they went back and they like wrote this whole thing, and they basically shared it, and that was such a beautiful moment for me, and for them, and for just the whole center. So that was like one of the first times. And then the second time I did, it was through a camp that I volunteer with, and so they had to be virtual that summer. So I tried to do like a writing workshop. It was a little rough. We had a couple kids show up, different ages. You didn't know what to expect because they could choose where to go that day. But it was fun. It was an experience. It taught me a lot about like working with different age groups and like their various interests. But yeah, those are the two times that I have taught. I do want to do more of that at some point, but I still feel like I also need to learn and grow my writing as well. So yes, hopefully that answers you.
Yes. You did. So are you saying that your ideal audience is seniors or little children?
I'm still figuring that out. Just people, I guess, right now. I do think I like somewhat of the older group, because babies, it's a little hard with them. They're fun, but it's like, I want to dig into some things, and they're just, a little hard sometimes, but they're great.
Yeah. Excellent. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Daily African Proverbs. My special guest today is Chioma Sheri, who is our guest every Wednesday. And Chioma literally takes these African proverbs and turns them into poems. And I feel that she teaches us here. And so the last question I was asking her is because she's been our official workshop facilitator every Wednesday. Anyway, so thank you for being a great teacher, Chioma. And I want to open the floor now to, in a moment though, Chioma, I want you to be able to share with everyone in the room how they can stay connected with you and how they can support you. But for now, for the next 15 or so minutes, I just want you to take notes, because we are going to hear a lot of nuggets of wisdom from our audience members and our friends who are here with us. And after that, I just want you to, share a closing remark with a summary of, some of the nuggets you picked up, and also how we can support your work. I know that, for those who are meeting Chioma for the first time, she's an amazing writer, and I actually encourage you to follow her on Instagram at chioma.sheri. I know your Instagram handle. And I'm going to push for people to follow you there, because she has amazing poems there, and she's going to post the poem she created for today's proverb there as well. She's an amazing writer, an amazing storyteller. she has a book coming up. So if you follow her there, you'll be able to learn more and stay connected.
Manifesting. We're speaking that into existence, Simon. Yes, we
Exactly.
do. I love it.
Exactly. Anyhow, so now we'll go to Simply E. Simply E, why don't you just share with the room why these Wednesday sessions are something that they need to support and how they can actually support right now, and then take the time and share with us your interpretation of today's proverb. Your support is much appreciated.
Absolutely, and I love being in this space. Thank you, Simon. So if you are in the space right here in the space with us in Clubhouse, and you're looking up at Chioma's avatar, and you're going, "Her, she's not coming off of mute." That's because she's on the YouTube channel with Simon. So she's speaking there. With Simon, we could see his face there. So it's great if you want to support in any on any platform. So if you're more comfortable with YouTube, if you're more comfortable with Twitter, if you want to spread the word on Instagram where the posts are. So it's very interactive. If you want to go in any of these spaces, wherever you're comfortable, or a multitude of spaces, you can kind of see it going across the different platforms. I think that's pretty awesome. And so if you like spaces like this, if you have friends and family that love spaces like this as well, don't be afraid to share. The more the merrier. And I've always taken this into my spirit is that if there's some positivity in a space and you want those around you to also stay positive, bring them along with you. And so this is a great way to do that in the with the daily African proverbs in the African Father in America space. Um, and then I'll give my interpretation as well. The jewel of the house is the child. And so I started thinking about this from a perspective of what a jewel is. Um, you can have things out there that you use to make a jewel out of, but not necessarily consider them to be a jewel. So I thought about the craftsmanship that goes into a jewel, the special care, um, and the beauty, and the vibration of that, right? So that's something it's an ornament, it's something that you adorn, or something that you don't mind showing off, or something that makes you feel great, or that you feel is beautiful. And so saying that the jewel of the house is the child, you're shaping and forming the child. Child is it arrived in its gemstone form, but it has to be shaped and woven and formed and polished and all these other things. And so this is a beautiful, I think this is a beautiful piece for parents and for those expecting to kind of sit in this one today, just to take it in and think about how it can help you to shape and form, and just take a moment to think about how it has, you taking time has actually honed into the child that you're rearing. So this is a beautiful proverb. And this is Simply E, the poetess. Thank you, Simon, for this.
Thank you so much, Simply E. I just appreciate your interpretation, and I hope everybody's paying attention to all the wonderful nuggets that Simply E just shared with us. But I also want to invite you to ping in 3 to 5 people into the room, so that we can just build the village. If you haven't followed the African Father in America Club and you are on Clubhouse right now, I encourage you to do that, and also nominate 3 to 5 people to join us in the African Father in America Club, which is also the name of my podcast. We are recording this session for the African Father in America podcast, and you can catch this conversation an hour after we end the room. You'll be able to catch it across all podcasting platforms. And if you're joining us again for the first time, my special guest is Chioma Sheri, and earlier on she shared her interpretation. She shared with us a story from her childhood that aligns with this proverb. She was able to create a poem out of this proverb, which she does every Wednesday. So you should not miss the Daily African Proverbs on Wednesdays. And then she was able to just share with us, her work when it comes to, facilitating workshops around poetry and writing, which, I was just joking that she actually does that with us here in this room, and it's not a joke. It's the truth, you know.
Can I say something, Simon?
Yes, yes.
Simon, that's literally like what you do daily. You teach, Simon. Like I've learned so much in this space. So many people have learned so much in this space. So thank you for creating a space. Thank you for being you. And just like you teach just by being. Okay, Simon. So thank you so much. I just wanted to say that because you're talking about me teaching. I'm just like, you teach, Simon. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Chioma. That means a lot. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. Now, I want to just move on to Fred, who is another amazing supporter of this space. Fred, share with us your perspectives on today's proverb. Feel free to also make a comment about the conversation we've had so far with Chioma.
Good morning. When I read this, I was actually, I feed off of everybody else's energy to enhance what I'm already seeing. And one thing you mentioned earlier about a child is being free. So as I looked at this proverb, I'm gonna break down jewel, house, and child. I see them as three symbols. When I was in Myrtle Beach, I lived out there for about a year. I was stressed out, couldn't really enjoy the beach and all or whatever. I had a friend that kept telling me, "Why don't you let the little child come out and play?" Because I was taking life too serious. So to kind of keep this short, when I look at the word child, I see future potential. I see being receptive, freshness, hence being free. Then you have the aspect of a jewel. I'm looking at jewel not as the material, but as a symbol of light, a reflection of our surroundings, i.e., the universe, and house as your external external word I'm looking for, expression of everything that's going on. So when I look at a jewel of the house as a child, when you want to change yourself, you got to approach everything in a childlike fashion. No calculations, free, be receptive, uh, opening your ambitions and what have you. And when you change your mindset or receive that childlike expression, or see the world in a child's mind or a child's perspective, your light will change, which is that jewel. Now, that light is an eternal aspect. Now, once you do that and make those two changes, it will be shown externally, which is the house. So when your house changes, people will see a difference in you, which when you make that true difference, you will be that new jewel or a reflection of the universe. That's how I see that. I yield the mic.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you're here. And now we want to go ahead and hear from Kelly. Kelly, please share with us your perspectives. But before you do that, I want to just let you all know that I'll be turning off hand raising. We do that here in the Daily African Proverbs at 6:30 a.m. So that we can just focus on those who are already on stage. So, if you're just joining us, this is a good time to come on stage. Then we'll turn off hand raising in about 2 minutes. In the meantime, I also want to encourage you to continue pinging in 3 to 5 people into the room. Feel free to share this room. There are many ways you can share the room on Clubhouse. You can clip it and share it on Twitter. You can also share it at the bottom left corner within Clubhouse and outside of Clubhouse. And then you can ping people, at the bottom of your screen, there's that plus button you can use. And if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you're subscribing and pushing the thumbs up button so that when we are live tomorrow we are hosting Gogo Rutendo Ngara, you can also catch this important conversation. Thank you very much. Now we'll go to you, Kelly. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for allowing me this time and this opportunity. I have not been on Clubhouse in months, in part because I didn't know that Clubhouse had anything for me. And so I'm grateful to be back in this space. with people who are really sharing information that I am interested in, and being in a space where I really feel the presence of people who are like-minded and creative. So I really like that. Thank you so much, Chioma, for inviting me. I'm grateful. Again, my name is Kelly. I'm also called Abelia. I too am a poetess, a yogi, and a holistic practitioner. And when I think of this particular proverb, it reminds me my son, maybe about 3 years ago, went through an African center. I'm in DC, and my son went through an African centered rites of passage program. And so throughout that program, and it was based on traditional Western practice. And so throughout that program, he had to memorize different proverbs. And so being back in a space where African proverbs are being read and studied is so important. It's so important for our culture. It's so important for the world at large. And so I thank you so much, Simon, for sharing this gift. So when I think of the jewel of the house is the child, the first thing that came to mind was the proverb in the King James Bible, and I think it's Proverbs 17, where it says, children's children or grandchildren are the crown of old men, and the glory of children is their fathers. And so I think of fathers and mothers, not just fathers. And so I think that children are definitely the jewel in our crowns. We want to be crowned with all types of things. When we see our children and we see who they are and we see the potential and who they can become, then we recognize that they are our crowning glory. That the things that we do with them, the work that we do with them, the ways that we prosper them, the way that we raise them, they are a reflection. When I was a kid, my mother would say, "Don't go outside, embarrass me." Right? Don't go outside. You represent me when you go out that door. And so when we see our children representing us in ways that are magnificent and powerful, when we raise them in ways that reflect the values that we hold true and the ways that we hold dear, when we raise them in ways that are African centered, then we really help them to become those crowns. We really help them to be able to become those jewels. And so I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to study this particular proverb today. I yield the mic.
Thank you so much, Kaylee. I'm so grateful that you're here, and I truly appreciate your perspectives. Let's go to my brother, Philip Ogola, the digital humanitarian. Share with us where you're joining us from, and also, your perspectives. I forgot to ask you, Kaylee and Fred, where you're joining us from, and I just love to hear that so that we can, give those who will be listening later the perspective of the global audience and just how this village is a global village. So, let's do that. Let's hear where you're from as you share your perspectives, or where you are located currently as you share your perspectives. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Simon, from Nairobi, Kenya. This proverb is deep, and Simon, like I always tell you, whenever I come to the Daily African Proverb, I connect with my grandfather, my father, me, and also to my children. When you look at the jewel, a jewel is something which is very special. It's something which has different connections. So like if it can be shaped triangular, it can be shaped in different shapes, but all those shapes connect in different spheres. And when you look at a jewel is something which brings in a spark, brings in vibrational energy. So when you look at we, the current generation, children listen to us by observation. Because they are the jewel, and we learn from our children by just observing how they're behaving. So, Simon, this proverb today, the jewel of the house is the child. It's very, very important. Whereby children are the ones who guide us. Children are the ones who bring in very, I can say, bring in mirror-like memories of our childhood. Like when I look at my two sons, I see myself, and the kind of energy I radiate to them is the kind of energy they radiate back. If you don't know how to keep your jewel properly in a more treasured way, it will get scratches and it will pick back, it will get spoiled, and that's how our kids grow up. So for me, Simon, this jewel actually speaks a lot, speaks volumes. Like we need to be paying more attention to our children. Children are our therapists. Children are our coping mechanism. When we as adults are stressed up, our children make us smile. They make us feel whole. But do we thank them enough for being that jewel who always brings us together in the house? Like I can come from work when I'm so tired. I can come from my daily hurdles are up and about when I'm so tired. But when I get home, my sons radiate positive energy, and I forget about my struggles. That's the kind of radiation which we need to be giving back. And when you look at peace, there'll be no peace without the children. If you want to gain peace, the child is the one who actually guides us, who actually motivates us, who actually brings us together. So for me, Simon, this proverb is very symbolic, especially to this generation where we don't look at the children as a critical part of the humanity. So to me, I'll say the child is humanity. They bring us hope. They give us hope, and above all, they make us who we are. And when you look at the child, you see yourself. I see the struggles I had as a kid. I see the like when I look at my two boys right now, they are my two jewels, and I will do anything for them. I will do anything to ensure that they don't go through the dark side of life which I went through, and that is the jewel I want to bring across. And I yield the mic.
Thank you so much, my brother Philip, for your incredible share. I'm grateful that you're here with us in this moment, and I see Chioma nodding her head and taking notes here. So I can't wait to hear what Chioma has to say. But we'll go now to Mick. Mick, share with us your perspectives. Share with us where you're joining us from as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm based in the United Kingdom. I'm a teacher of theatre, dance, and at heart a storyteller. Taught for 30 years in big schools. The last school I taught in, I was there for 10 years. And if you become a teacher, you learn more than you teach. And you learn it from the children. The reason I came up to speak in the room today was the proverb, because it resonates so much with me. If you look on my profile, the first thing on there is a quote from Sitting Bull, Lakota Sioux. And he said, let us put our minds together and see what life we can make for our children. I have 4 beautiful daughters. And this idea of a jewel, for me, the most precious jewels are the purest, unsullied, flawless. And holding each of my daughters when they were born, they're flawless. They don't know about lying. They don't know about deceit. They don't know about hatred. They are pure. They are flawless. And it's as we get older and older, that's when all the faults come in. That's when we learn about hate. That's when we learn about lies, etc., etc. So for me, that's why a child is a jewel, because they are just something that is flawless. A couple of people mentioned this idea of teaching. Chioma, if you think you can teach, do so, because people ask me, why do I teach? I teach because I view it as the greatest privilege you can have, to spend that time with children and trying to guide them on their journey. It is a privilege to teach, and you learn more from teaching than you ever pass on to people. It's something I'm passionate about, but that for me is the main thing. Children are a jewel. They are the most flawless part of humanity, and we should cherish them. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm just grateful for your share as well. And Mala, you're making us smile with your comments on YouTube. Thank you again for your continued support. For those who don't know, we are actually live streaming this conversation on YouTube. And we are live and direct with Chioma, who is my special guest. So feel free to tap the link at the top of the room. Leave a comment, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's a big way that you can support this work with the daily African Proverbs. The goal is to reach 2,000 subscribers by the end of this month. If we surpass it, that would even be better, you know. Anyhow, thank you all for being here. And I want to now pass the microphone to Sensors. Sensors, how are you? Where are you joining us from? And what are your perspectives on today's proverb? By the way, Sensors, feel free to talk about the event at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Census. I am based in the Midwest of the cold United States in North America. Thank you, Simon, for this session today. And hello, Chioma. Great to meet you. And as usual, the moment I see people I love, I go to their socials. And of course, I ended on your brittle paper poem on Black on Black. And I think I see I see authenticity in what you write. So thank you very much.
Thank
Now
you so
yeah, you're welcome. With the proverb, the jewel of the house is the child. I want to look at it from the perspective of grandparents, great grandparents. You see that they become alive when there is a newborn in the house. Perhaps it's because they connect since both of them are at a level where they are limited in what they can do because of age. One is too young to start doing walking or things like that. One is too old to do that. But within it, they experience joy, they experience hurt, they experience sadness, even if they cannot articulate it as well. They experience joy, they experience sadness, and their brain is alive because there is a connection that happens between those two generations. And so, indeed, the jewel of the house is a child, and a jewel is one of the most precious of all minerals, is a jewel. And we hold it close to our hearts because we think it needs our protection. But what we don't know is that it is capable of shining alone without us. Its spark does not diminish, whether we are holding it or someone else is holding it, because it's a jewel. So that is my interpretation of the proverb. And I'm just going to go on and talk about what we're doing today. Today, we are holding space for one of our good brothers, Johnny Nogood, who is also an artist. He has been part of the Africa Daily Proverbs since it started last year. And he has shared with us so many spaces that we thought it's only important we do so to share space with his family. So on the Africa Day Club, we are holding a session to just remember his cousin, Amir Lak. Amir Lak was killed as part of a police process that went really wrong, you know. They ended up in that house and he was shot dead, as brutal as that sounds. He was also important to his family. To Johnny Nogood, he was a brother, a cousin, a brother. And so their family is also currently going through a process of not only mourning his death, but remembrance and working on the law to make sure that we might not be able to bring him back, but perhaps the authorities can be held accountable for such wrong actions that they conduct on people. And so please join us. It's 3 p.m. Pacific Standard, which is 5 p.m. Central. Join us, say a word, hold a moment of silence, and support the family. We'll also put up the family donation fundraiser that has started. Support the family any way you can. This is Census I Am Complete. Back to you, Chioma and Simon. And Chioma, great to meet you. And congratulations to Senegal. Um, I am from South Sudan. We are actually going around telling people it's South Sudan who won the African Cup of Nations because we are really one. We are all the Sudanese belt. And to be honest, a photo with you and I will show that we are of one bloodline. This is Census I'm Complete.
Thank you, Sensors. Yeah, you can easily confuse South Sudanese with Senegalese, especially the height and the physical attributes. And it's true, we are all one. You can actually find an African American that would confuse you with a South Sudanese too. So truly, we are all one. Now, we want to continue on. We want to listen to Bibi, who inspired us so much yesterday, with her story. And, everything you do is just quite remarkable. Bibi, how are you? Where are you joining us from today? And what are your perspectives on this proverb?
Thank you, Simon. Hi, everyone. I am joining in from Tennessee, Clarksville today. This is very lovely. And as far as the proverb goes, I remember when I was a little girl, my mom used to have this necklace on that she never took off, but every now and then she'll take it off whenever she'll go somewhere else. And I remember she used to tell us that wherever she goes, we'll go. Like she'll always be with us, and especially when you're born during the war, of course, you're always wanting to hold on together as a family. And I remember she used to say that, and she said we were so important to her, like the necklace that she wore around her neck. And I remember one time when someone had died, and she had to go, but we couldn't go because that area wasn't that safe for little kids. Grown-ups could get away with it, but kids wouldn't be snuck out of it. And then she sat us down that day and told us that I know I told you guys we won't be separated and stuff, but today we're gonna have to, but I'll be back. And she gave us that necklace, and she just told us to hold on to it. And we held on to it. It's like we had a babysitter that day, and one of our aunties, and she was there with us the whole time. And now growing up, it makes me think how amazing our parents are, and things that they teach us and show us at that moment that we don't understand it until we get older. And what I take from this is that jewels, as children, as jewels, we're not just like the physical aspect of it, but like the emotional aspect of it. And also, it's like also as a parent, like if you want to just protect your child, you can also use that analogy as well. But I think it was a really cool one that she used on us, that it made us feel extra special, even if we already knew that we were special to her, but it made us feel extra special because she really did cherish that necklace that she always had with her. I think it was a family jewel that she always wore. So I just wanted to share that tiny snippet of my childhood in there. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much for being here with us today. Hey Mala, how are you? Where are you joining us from? And also, what are your perspectives on today's proverb?
Great day, family. I am joining you from beautiful Philadelphia. It's a sunny day. It's somewhat mild. We're getting towards 50 degrees. It's amazing because it's been so frigid. Good morning, Chioma. Good morning, Simon, and everyone on the stage and in the room. Well, great day because we're all across the diaspora, correct? So for me, the jewel of the house is the child. So many interpretations. I had one, and I've just gone down a path. And a couple of things are really like laying on me. One being that we are our own jewel, that in honoring the inner child, I think Fred kind of took me down this path. Honoring, loving, healing, working with, nurturing our inner child, we reclaim the jewel of our own life. And there's so much to be unlocked in that way, but also just in the ways in which children come into the world and need us for everything, their protection, their rearing. And how are we pouring into them? How are we treating them? You know, do we have the patience? Do we have the presence of mind when we are inundated by all of our responsibilities and all the things that we have to do to create a safe space for them? Are we really present with just how precious they are and how much they have to teach us? I've learned some of the most greatest lessons working, you know, in education and just the children in my family or in my community, and just to be gentle and tender both with the children we encounter and the child within ourselves. So with that, I'll go back to listening. And I'm definitely will continue to amplify the room, you know, that we can continue to get the word out about this injustice faced by Amir, sending, you know, love to his family because there is no justice truly. I mean, we want accountability, but you know, this is a loved one. This is a pillar of a community. When we lose a person, we lose a pillar of a community. So just sending love and just, you know, will amplify and be in support and be present in the room. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mala. That means a lot. Please connect with Sensors. She has a meme that we created to promote the room at 3 p.m. today. And anybody else who wants to help with promoting that room, connect with Sensors, and she'll be able to, you know, give you she'll be able to add you as a co-host, because we really want to bring the community together today and support Johnny, who is here with us in the room, and also his family. You know, this is the least we can do. You know, Johnny has always stood with not only people that he knows in our community, but also even strangers. He shows up for people in a very massive way. So it's our turn to do something to support his family. And now we want to go to Goddess. Goddess, how are you doing? And what are your thoughts on today's proverb? And where are you joining us from?
Hello, good morning. I'm actually in Minneapolis, unfortunately, and I'm so happy to be on the call. Just to say something really quick about Amir, I have been fighting police terrorism since 2013 here in this city, and it is just disgusting and it's very tiresome. There was a young brother named Terrence Franklin, whose name often gets forgot. But Terrence Franklin was the catalyst for me. He was the beginning. And to me, in my perspective, it is a damn shame that we have to continue to go through the same thing over and over and over again. My heart goes out to Johnny and his family. There was a mother's press conference on Monday, and I did get a chance to make it to that. And it was just a beautiful nightmare, is the phrase that I can think of. It just always reminded me how the progression of Black folks in this country is a direct reflection of the hard work that Black women have put in. And it just reminded me that as we are fighting for justice for this young Black man, that it's going to take a lot of work, and it's definitely going to take a collective of strong Black women coming together to make sure that we demand the justice that we are going to get. I also went to the post office yesterday, and the post office line was almost to the door. It looked like Christmas Eve in there, and it was basically full of white folks, and it was really quiet. And I just looked at the line and I yelled out really loud, like, "Justice for Amir." And everybody was just quiet. And I said it because I knew that I wasn't in a space with allies. Because when you're in a space with allies, they'll say something. And everybody was quiet. And I just couldn't believe I was in a space with like literally 20 people in line and they're quiet versus I'm walking down the street and there's a brother on a bike with this huge, huge sign. And when I say huge, I mean like it was like a 3 foot by 5 foot sign, just huge, demanding justice for Amir Locke and to reopen all of the cases for the families that have been wrongfully executed in the streets by the Minneapolis Police Department. And I stopped this man and we had like a 20-minute conversation before going to the rally yesterday. I pertaining to today's, I just wanted to share that little snippet with y'all that living up here in this cold, hateful climate, that this is something that we endure often. And the only way to really get to the land, the promised land, is to continuously have conversations. You know, I'm at the post office, I'm gonna bring it up. You know, I'm walking down the street, I see something, I'm gonna say something. And some people are stuck in their own imaginary world and we have to bring them out of that world. And I believe in that all the time. If I'm uncomfortable, we have to make them uncomfortable. And that's what it's about. But pertaining to today's African proverb, I actually continuously get flashbacks when I was a kid. And I remember I was around some ignorant adults when I was a child. I was also around some beautiful adults. And I remember being very confused as a child. I remember knowing that I was special, but I remember always feeling like I was in this gray area. Um, a beautiful sister was at my house last night and she shared a friend with me. They had a FaceTime conversation, and her friend said to me, he doesn't even know me, and he said to me, "You have spent most of your life raising yourself." And when he said that to me, it really resonated with me. I've been a very conscious being since I was about 3. I can remember my whole life since I was about 3. And I did go through some traumatic experiences. Some people say that the earlier the trauma starts, you become more aware. And so I remember being a child and I remember hearing a saying that children are to be seen, not heard. And I remember being a little person and I remember thinking that's not true. And I remember wondering why anybody would say that and why anybody would believe something like that. And the fact that I heard it more than once when I was a kid, I just remember struggling with that ideology that a child is not to be heard. I think it is the most ignorant thing that has ever been said about a child. And it just reminds me of how gracious, beautiful, and how they are a gift. I don't have any children of my own. And I think it's kind of a catch-22 because I don't have children of my own. I'm very, very, very attentive in ways that parents aren't when I'm around children. And I think that parents know that, and because they do, they kind of don't pay the same attention to the children when I'm around because they know that I'm going to be the utmost attentive, you know, and I'm that adult that kind of veers off and plays with the children and really spends that time with the children when it's quote unquote adult time. And it's because, like I said, I don't have any of my own. And I just know how much of a gift they are and how precious they are. And um, it's one of those things that if your eyes are not open, you're not going to see it. If you're stuck in survival mode, you're not going to see it. So some people, what I've seen in my own eyes is they're so stuck in the everyday hustle and bustle with things that sometimes they don't see it. And it is just such a beautiful thing. I feel like in times where it's darkness, they bring the light. Um, when you feel tired, they give you energy. When I think of them being the jewel, I just think of them being that missing piece to the puzzle. Someone said it earlier. I think it was Fred. I think it was Fred. I'm not sure. I wasn't able to get to the phone fast enough, but he just spoke about when you come home, your your whatever it is that's outside that's pulling you, stressing you, those deadlines, whatever it is, it kind of just goes all away. And even though I don't have my own, when I'm around my baby mama's 4 children that I help raise, I feel that feeling. And it is such a beautiful feeling to get lost in loving them, teaching them, growing with them, or even just helping them to remember. I think it is the most beautiful job in the world. And I also believe that raising a child is the hardest job in the world. I believe that nothing is more rewarding than molding a little person and molding their thought process, their mind. And that's what I think about today's African proverb.
Thank you, Goddess. I just appreciate the depth of your contribution today. It's truly appreciated. Tandy Sizwe, where are you joining us from, and what are your perspectives on today's proverb?
Yes, for the correct pronunciation of the name. I appreciate it. Tandy Sizwe here, Tandy like Gandhi, then Sizwe. I'm also joining from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Goddess was talking about me yesterday. We were hanging out together, and I just love what you said. Thank you for that. I lately I've been going to the dictionary a lot. We were talking about that last night too. Malcolm X read the dictionary in prison. That's my next book that I'm reading. I need to get my terms, and I went and looked up the definition of jewel just as I thought about the response. And just some of the first things that came to mind was, I think that it's very Afrocentric, and natural for family, just in general, to do things together, right? So I thought about, okay, a jewel. I thought about a crown. That was what first came to my mind, was an image of a crown, and that the grandparents, they're the tiers of the crown, and that the parents are the foundation, knowing that the grandparents used to be the foundation, and how we switch roles, which is a beautiful thing, right? Your parents take care of you, and then when they're old and they become elders, you take care of them, right? And then I thought about the children shining on the crown. I also thought about, after looking up the definition, I thought about Kanye West's song, We All Fall Down, and just how we can be so involved and consumed with the material things, right? And when you think about a jewel or a diamond, or even we're getting back into crystals and spirituality, we really guard those things. We take care of them, and our babies are so impressionable, and they're the future, right? I think that we have to be very intentional to take care of them, just like we would our diamonds, right? And a lot of times we're not shining them. We're not cleaning them up, and we're doing things that are actually very detrimental. So I think that if we continue to protect our babies, just like we keep our jewelry in the safe in the house or at the bank, if we rise them up to that level, when we think about the future, it will look very, very bright, knowing that we did everything that we could as we raised up the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tandy Sizwe, for your contribution. I'm just grateful. As you're speaking, it actually, occurred to me that the heart could also be a child in our body, and that, the heart is the jewel of our house, our bodies, and that we should take care of the heart, because if you listen to your heart really well, you can overcome so many challenges, especially here in America. Now, I want to just take a moment to welcome you, my brother Johnny. Take the space, share with us how you're doing, and share with us your perspectives on today's proverb. And also, if you have anything to say in regards to the event that we are doing to, as a virtual vigil for Amir Locke, and also just to stand in solidarity with you, just feel free.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Simon. Like I said, I really truly appreciate and value this space. I still remember when I discovered this space over a year ago, and it was only 4 people in here. I don't remember the fourth. I just remember it being me, you, I guess that was the four, me, you, Happily, and Jan Priya. And so to continue to see your consistency in creating this space and the different works you done did in the digital space, brother, I commend you. Peace to Sister Chioma. Peace to Simply E. Peace to Senses. Bibi, Marla, and everybody else that's in the room. And a special shout out to my 2 sisters, Tandy Seasway and Goddess. Those are two very, very powerful queens that I had the honor of being introduced to. And I'm just thankful, very, very thankful to be able to meet individuals like that. I think that it's one of the hidden jewels and hidden gems is to know that the revolution has always been put on the backs of Black women. And I just appreciate y'all for being the queens that y'all are and standing at the forefront. When it comes to how I'm doing personally, man, honestly, the more and more I keep talking about it and the more and more I keep being in conversation with family, the more and more real it's getting. I think that, there's still always a state of surrealness, but even in being in a state of surrealness, as Black people, we're not often allowed the space to be able to grieve properly. Like there's this pillar of strength of what we have to look on. And when I say a pillar of strength, there's a lot of strength in being vulnerable. And so my heart, I've been seeking and I've been asking people to pray for me to keep my heart open. All, my goal for 2022 was to keep my heart space open and continue to open my heart chakra so that I could move in the divine love that I'm meant to. And it's situations like this that make it very, very difficult because it's a constant reminder of how these people feel about us. Um, when I talk about the situation with my cousin, that's anybody's cousin. That's everybody's cousin. That could be anybody's family member. And the problem is that an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. There was a brother who was killed 2 days before my cousin. His name was Isaiah Tyree Williams. And I never heard his name being mentioned like that. I want to make sure that that brother isn't forgotten about either. But this isn't one off thing. As Sister Goddess said, she's been fighting these battles since 2013 out there in Minneapolis. I remember going out there for Philando Castile when that happened. I remember I'm sick and tired of constantly having to fight these battles. I'm sick and tired of constantly having to prove that we didn't contribute to our own demise. Why is it that we have to prove that we ain't criminals before we could prove that we are actually the victims of something?
Come
And
on.
what I don't want to keep. There's a book that I'm reading. It's called The Delectable Negro by Vincent Woodard. And it breaks down the consumer culture that exists because that existed in slavery. There's a homoerotic fetish that happens when it comes to Black people, Black men, Black women, and Black culture. And they have literally consumed us and they figuratively consume us, but don't want to admit the value of what it is that we bring. They put our case as if we're worthless, as if we have did nothing, as if we don't contribute, as if we're just vagabonds, as if we haven't contributed to the civilization over here. And those are the type of things that really, really, really hurt me to my soul, to my core. And so it's not too many times that I run out of words. I don't have a lot to say because I have a lot to do. So if you can, please join us at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be celebrating the life of my cousin and making sure that the world knows his story and knows his name. There will be change. There will be justice. I know Sister Census said that she was hoping that maybe there ain't no maybes about this. There will be accountability. We will demand justice. We will get justice. And the world will know the name of Amir Locke so that there won't have to be another situation like Amir Locke. It's time for us to understand that we got three choices when it comes to us as Black people and the global majority when it comes to a European-centric capitalistic mindset, a colonialism mindset that predates this whole world, and that's liberation, liquidation, or pacification. And if they're not going to liberate us, they will pacify us until they liquidate us.
Thank
Snap,
you.
Johnny.
Thank you.
You better.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Johnny. And just thank you everyone who is holding space for Johnny right now. And thank you, Chioma, for being, my special guest today. I know you've been taking notes, and we went a little over time, but I want you to just take a moment and share with us what you heard, and also, as part of your closing remarks, how everyone who is here with us can stay connected with you, can support your work, and then, share with us the poem one more time, and then we'll close after that.
There's just I'm just taking in everything, holding space for you, Johnny, and your family. Yeah. I'm I ain't got nothing to say after that. I guess what I took away from just everybody was just how much we need to value our children, value the children, whether we have children of our own or not, how much we have to pour into them, how much we have to care for them, how much we need to listen to them, how much we need to fight for them. So yeah, that's my take. I wanted to know if I could read this poem that I wrote a few days ago. So it's not the one today. It's one that I made a few days ago. Just thinking about just all the stuff that's just happening in life and with Black folks. Okay. Black bodies shooting, Black bodies hooping, Black bodies jumping, Black faces drooping, Black bodies broken, Black bodies dreaming, Black bodies targeted, Black mama screaming, Black bodies searching, Black bodies bleeding, Black bodies tired, Black babies needing, Black bodies stretching, Black bodies feeling, Black bodies breathing, Black souls are healing. That was that poem. I just wanted to share that in the space in this moment. Thank you, Simon. And just thank you for everyone who just shared their perspectives, and just talking about just the injustice that's going on. Thank you so much. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chioma. And thank you all for being here with us, for the entire time of the Daily African Proverbs today. I will actually invite you to follow Chioma on Instagram, chioma.sheri. That's her username. That's one way that we can support her amazing work. And also, make sure you are subscribing to my YouTube channel. Remember, the goal is for us to reach at least 2,000 subscribers by the end of this month. And also follow the African Father in America Club on Clubhouse, and nominate 3 to 5 people to join the club. Remember to join us at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, and take good care of your heart, take good care of those children around you. And a big shout out to Tess and Jay and Shomari. And I see that we have here Dr. Ijeoma and Joseph, Samantha, Happy. All of you are really, really valued. And thank you for being here, Mirabel as well. And everybody in the room, thank you. And take good care of yourself. See you all tomorrow, same time, 6 a.m. Our guest tomorrow is going to be Gogo Rutendo Ngara from South Africa. Thanks a lot, Chioma. Take good care of yourself.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
African Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington.